Welcome to the Lifted Lifestyle Podcast. This is a call to action to live above limitations that try to disrupt your peace, steal your joy, and limit your access to your best life. I'm your favorite host, Latasha Weatherspoon, the Chief Empowerment Officer of the Lifted Lifestyle, here with my favorite host, Chazz Bailey.
Hello, world. This is Chazz Bailey, COO of the Lifted Lifestyle. You can find me on Twitter at Chazz Bailey. How y'all doing today, world? Hope well.
I always forget to give my handle in the beginning of the show, so you can find me on all social media channels at Tasha Spoon. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I can't complain. Everything is going well as it could. You know, it always can be worse, so that's what you have to live by. It always can be worse. So
Yes.
Going well.
Every morning when I walk into work, I always say, they say how you're doing, and I say, well, I can't complain, or it doesn't do any good to complain because nobody's really listening, right?
Exactly. They don't want to hear that.
And, when you complain, you just draw more negativity to yourself anyway, right?
Exactly. So we need to be pushing positive energy in the world, so can't complain.
So let's get right into it. What are you grateful for this week?
Well, I'm grateful, honestly, from where I just came from. I did a mentoring engagement with 60 young men and seeing them engaged, and the topic was on leadership. So
wow.
I'm grateful to be in a position to help mentor others and being better, and that actually starts my year off right and get me stepping in the right direction, and hopefully for the young men, they can do the same.
Yeah, I mean, you've been really on to this mentoring, especially these young guys. When I had the opportunity to work with you guys this weekend and volunteering, they were so invested in actually writing affirmations for themselves. That is really, really powerful.
It is, and it's a joy to see them at that age to do so. So I was very grateful because it basically sold into me. So it makes me better.
Today, I'm grateful for this puff. Y'all see, it was very disrespectful this morning, but I got my puff together. The little things, people take for granted. When you grow your hair natural and you just wear it the way it comes out of your scalp, how when it looks good and it looks the way you want it to look, how happy that really makes you. But on a more serious note, when I say I'm thankful for my puff, I mean the journey it took me to be in a place where I could wear my natural hair out and still feel beautiful. I think that, as African-American women, sometimes we're so conditioned to look a certain way that we forget that there's beauty in who we are at our core and in our purest and truest form. So I'm thankful for feeling pretty cute in my puff today. Yes. So our show today is one that I have been living all week, since probably last week. And it's called Your Peace is Your Priority, right? Okay. Your peace is your priority. And I always say, well, you know this, I always say that everything that I teach, I have to first live.
Yeah.
Well, this week, the universe has decided to really make me prove it because I've spent the past 7 days at least advocating for my own peace, advocating and taking it, reclaiming my peace. Making it my own priority. So let's start our show with a definition. What do you think peace is? What do you define it as?
Peace, I consider that the wholeness. I also go a little further and consider it the balance that is in between having a need and knowing how to be satisfied. So taking it to a place where I understand that I've been here, but I also been here on both sides of the spectrum. Now I'm balanced in between the two and understand gratitude and satisfaction. That's my peace in that sense. But also I like peace as well because a piece of my grandma apple or sweet potato pie, as we used to say.
That'll make it all better.
Yeah, just
Miss
give
Jean,
me
I know you listening.
Yeah,
get
just
that
give
pie
me
together.
A piece of pizza. People say that. So anything you put peace in was always good for me. So I'm very happy and grateful for peace.
You are so silly. For me, when I was doing a little research preparing for today's show, I found two definitions that really kind of stuck with me and stuck out to me. And the first one was the freedom from disruption.
Okay.
Freedom from disruption. I thought that was absolutely amazing that even the dictionary defines peace as the absence or freedom from disruption. in quiet and tranquility. I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
The second thing was the state of being stress-free. The state of being stress-free. I can't talk, guys. I think that's also a powerful definition, and that's the one that we most think of when we think about peace. We think about being in a state of stresslessness.
Yeah.
You know, that's a word.
Yeah, it
I
is today
created
if
it.
it is.
Yeah, I made
isn't
that.
it? So
Copyright
What?
that. Lisa, if
See?
you listening. Stresslessness.
I like it.
The state of stresslessness is how I found peace to be defined or described. For me, peace is just simply being in a state of balance.
Yeah, definitely.
So the freedom from disruption or disturbance really resonated with me, because when you're in a state of balance, I like to think about it like, you know, just a river that's undisturbed. And
Okay.
this week, everything tried it. Everybody tried it. The job tried it. My company tried it. Everything tried it. So I had to literally be holding on to my peace with both hands. So I think the biggest lesson that I learned is, one, you have to make your peace your own priority by putting it at the top of your list.
Oh, yeah,
Making it a
definitely.
non-negotiable. Making your state of stresslessness
Yeah.
your priority. Not letting people come for your peace, not surrounding yourself with people who challenge your peace, and pouring into yourself things that feed balance in your life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. As we go to our Asian philosophers, they speak about the yin and the yang, perfect balance, being in perfect peace. So you have to be available to understand that for yourself, because no one can give you peace internally but you. When other people try to lead you to peace, they can give you ideas. They can give you roadmaps and blueprints, what work for them. But as we all know, each person on the face of this earth is different. So it requires a little bit of soul searching, quiet time, meditation, whatever works for you to reach that peaceful moment. Just hone in on it, and that brings your balance, and that brings you peace.
Listening to the first part of what you said, when you said no one can give you peace, it makes me think about the fact of how often in our lives we externalize peace. We put the responsibility for our peace on the people who surround us. We put the responsibility for our peace on our jobs.
Yeah.
We give the power away, as opposed to creating environments in our lives and negotiating relationships in our lives that demand it, that cultivate it, and that support it. I think for me this week, I've had to actively say no to things that tried to disrupt my peace. I had to actively remove myself from conversations and surrounding myself with people that did not bring me disruptions or disturbances.
Exactly.
You know, I had to be very intentional about it. And that put me in a place where I thought about the fact that we aren't necessarily intentional about cultivating and managing our peace, because we're so used to externalizing it. We're so used to saying, you made me feel like, or on my job they were doing,
Exactly.
as opposed to taking the responsibility for it by teaching people in your home and in your job how to treat you.
No, that's true.
Establishing boundaries,
That's
creating
definitely
an atmosphere of safety to protect your peace.
Yes, you got to be your first defender
Mm.
and your first promoter. So that's that yin and yang again. But you definitely have to be on both sides of the spectrum to guard yourself in your own peace. So I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, because what takes place internally has to come out externally. So if you're not peaceful internally, how can you walk in peace every day at a level of excellence?
That's a good point, because if you are a person who is angry and you're disrupted on the inside, you're gonna attract more of that to you.
Exactly.
You know, and this week that's a powerful point, because this week I was kind of stressed out, and I think that the energy that I was putting out into the world was manifesting and coming back to me in various forms and more aggressive forms than what I was feeling. But that also, you know, put me in a place where I had to be relentless about my self-care and about guarding my energy and my mind and my spirit and doing the things in my personal self-care practice that supported my peace. I think that's something that we also take for granted, is the fact that, you know, people will tell you that if you take time for yourself, it's selfish. But I think that it is actually the biggest investment in the people that you love and the things that you do if you take care of yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
So if you make sure that you are full, then you have more to give.
Exactly.
If you make sure that, you know, you're in the highest state of being, in the most positive state of being, the most peaceful state of being, then you'll project that. You're more calm in your own interactions and responses to the things that happen to you on the daily basis. You know, it has to be a priority. It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. I love the point you just made, because it takes me to a place of being like a farmer. And if you don't cultivate your land in the manner that it requires, your crop won't be what it needs to be when harvest time comes. So if you're walking in with yourself, and let's say we're not skin, we're just seeds. And we had a show last week and we talked about the storms.
Yeah.
So that's the things that happen. That was the disruption things that take place. But it requires water to grow those seeds.
Yeah.
So if you're walking in your seeds and storms cause distractions, pain, you know, when you use that analogy with the land, you're cultivating, you're digging, you're putting some sweat, blood, tears, everything in that soil. And what happens next is amazing. Something sprouts.
That's powerful, because, you know, even in your own journey, you need the storm, you need the rain to cultivate the harvest. I like that. That's good.
Exactly. You definitely have to do that. So I just use that to make a comparison to the disruptions, whether it's on your job, whether it's at home, whether it's with friends, family, or what have you. Once you understand or have made that peace your priority, where you understand what brings you peace, first of all, and understand what's it take to hold that peace with yourself, then you can move forward and say, okay, as these disruptions come, I'm still going to project my peace, because sometimes your peace extends beyond you. That peacefulness that you have actually rubs off. Yeah. It's contagious. So you can walk into an arena and it's just chaotic, but by you being peaceful, it may make that person next to you peaceful, and that may make the next person. It's a domino effect.
Yes,
it
is.
So you can literally be the change you want to see in an organization, at home, anywhere, when you're peaceful, when you make it your priority.
So in saying no to the things that disrupt your peace, I thought about something that you always say, and that is to play defense. You know, to protect my peace, like, you know, you protect the ball.
Yeah.
And I think once I got to a place where I recognized that, you know what, I really can't allow this person, no matter if it's an executive in this hospital boardroom or if it's, you know, a friend or whatever that I'm interacting with, to be in control.
Exactly.
You know, I have to play defense, because if you think about football, you know, when you have good defense, it changes the course of the game.
Exactly.
No matter how good the offense is, it changes the course of the game. And that's one thing that I took with me this week, you know. So saying no to those things and playing defense to guard my peace.
Yeah, yeah. And when you find out those things, those people, that atmosphere or environment that disrupts your peace, you have to say no. You know, like when I was growing up, we had the Dare campaign, say no to drugs because you didn't want to do this. You know, say no to the people that make you mad. Say no to this, say no to that. We have to relive those moments because we have to say no to some of the things that seem to make us happy at one point, but we have evolved. Now we're at a different point where those things no longer make us happy.
And, you know, like one of my friends made the point, too, that not only do we have to learn to say no, we have to learn to say no without explanation. We have to just let our no be a full and complete sentence.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to work for me. without explanation, because I think that there are sometimes people feel very entitled to your time. They feel very entitled to your energy. So you have to take responsibility for your peace and for the creating space that protects your peace by just saying no.
That's
no
true.
explanation, no long drawn out conversation, just no.
No, I agree. And so something that I always heard mixed with something you always say, something I always heard when you speak about time, that's something you can never get back. But it's also something that you can never get back, and those are the words when they come out of your mouth. You can reiterate them, you can try to flip the meaning, but once they leave you, they've left. You know,
Yep,
the words have left the body.
Yep.
And once they leave, now are you going to be defending those words, or what will you do after that point? So when you are faced with that from the other side, you have to understand that, hey, I have to defend this internally and externally at the same time to achieve that championship. As they say, defense wins championships. So.
And, saying no to things that disrupt your peace is important, but also saying yes to things that cultivate peace in your life is important.
Exactly.
Making sure you have a firm, relentless, and religious self-care practice.
Exactly.
Something you do every day for yourself without explanation, whether it's a long bath, a glass of wine, a run, whatever your thing is, you have to have something that is just for you, something that fills the cup again.
Exactly.
And creating a routine. How do you start your day? Maybe that's part of your self-care. How do you end your day? Maybe that's part of your self-care. But doing something routinely that feeds your mind, body, and soul is so important, especially when your peace is under attack.
Exactly. No matter what that is, you have to take that time and enjoy life. Enjoy being peaceful. Enjoy being peaceful on two fronts, internally and externally. Because sometimes I would always remember, like, having a bad day at work. I had a playlist that no matter how mad you are, you listen to this playlist, you don't care about nothing else.
That's how I am when Beyonce plays. Like, it just changes my whole mood.
Exactly. So, like, whatever gets you. I remember on Fridays, I wanted all my Fridays to be perfect. So I really used to wake up and listen to, like, the happy Tupac songs and just be vibing, be at work. And then when I leave work, when I want to calm my nerves, listen to some jazz music, something mellow, or some vibes that's mellow. But that's just on one front. Like you said, taking baths, long baths, having a nice glass of wine, having a cool drink of water, and just lounging on the couch. Whatever brings you peace is no limit, because you set the tone on what that is.
Especially when you're busy. And I think preparing for your self-care is important. Putting it in your schedule, blocking off an hour that is just yours, making a conscious effort to do it. Because once you write it on your schedule, it becomes something you're like, okay, well, maybe this time is mine. Maybe it's real,
Exactly.
Blocking it off, making it real by putting it on your schedule.
Yeah, definitely. One of the most powerful tools we have on our phones is something we probably don't use as much as our calendars and those alarms. Let an alarm go off and say, hey, it's me time. You have the alarm that says it's time to get up. You have the alarm that says it's time to do this, time to do that. Where's me go? Where's me go? Even if, it's an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, where is your time? Because your time and your peace is your priority. So until you put that on the top of your list, you kind of put that at risk. So you have to always play your part in making yourself come first, because that's one key. Is being selfish is not a bad thing in certain times. And certain times you have to be selfish because it belongs to no one but you.
Yeah.
So,
and I also think, just as saying no to things that disrupt your peace is important, and saying yes to things that support your peace is important, it's also important to manage your expectations.
Oh, yes.
Having a clear set of expectations from the people who are in your life, from your coworkers at work, from your employees at work, really will help to support your peace. I think for me this week, having clear boundaries saved my peace.
That's true.
Having clear standards of excellence in communication and expectations of transparency and accountability in my relationships saved my peace. Yeah. Because people who interact with me on a consistent basis over time, repeatedly, they know, okay, she expects these things from me. And because they know routinely I expect these things from me, when I'm in a situation that isn't the most comfortable and I'm having a hard conversation, it's not kind of like blindsiding.
Yes.
It's not a blindsided thing. So managing your expectations from the people that you spend your time with, from your coworkers, from your employer, know what is going to happen. Know what you expect from them. And then giving yourself some grace when things don't go the way that they are supposed to happen. Yeah. When they don't go according to plan, what's your backup plan? What's your contingency? How do you protect and manage your peace when things don't go according to plan? I think that goes with our show from last week. You know,
definitely.
Managing those storms in your life. What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do at that point? Because you have to manage everything that comes from you. And peace dwells internally. It comes out of you. So you have to manage it. You have to be in control. So it's a level of selfishness in that way. Because, like you said, making those boundaries, understand what it takes. As I said, did a mentorship today about leadership. Being a great leader requires peace. It requires understanding your audience. And that goes beyond, the people in your home, your people you're presenting to. It is basically everything that you're involved with, understanding your environment. So once you understand your environment, you know what to expect. Okay, this is the worst possible thing that possibly can happen. And this is the best thing that can happen. Now, I want to have balance. I want to meet in the middle, but I am operating in a spirit of excellence with everything. So if something doesn't go right, you adjust to it. However, you don't lower your expectations. That's like you said, with managing them, you can maneuver those expectations, but you're not necessarily lowering them.
Yeah, and then but sometimes you have to lower your expectations. Sometimes, and this is something that I actually learned from you. Sometimes you have to lower your expectations from people. For example, an example of that is if I have my party friends, my friends that I call when I want to go to happy hour, I don't expect those people to be the ones that are in the thick of it. They're not necessarily in my tribe. They're just associates.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Managing what I expect from people and the roles that they play in our lives, I think is important too, because if we're honest, the biggest attack on our peace comes from the people who we interact with.
Yes. Organizational skills are one of the top qualities of being peaceful in that regard. Because, like you just said, managing those expectations, you organize how these people are. You organize how these people are. So, like you said, you have your friends that you go out with. You have your friends that you express all of emotions with. You have basically a criteria for everyone. You have these people here, these people there, and that basically help you manage that, because you only open that drawer when you want socks. You open this drawer when you want t-shirts. You have to do everything that way, and that brings you peace because you know where everything is at every time. And you don't expect to open the sock drawer and pull out t-shirts, and if you do, you might need to do some spring cleaning in the winter.
And, more than that, I think, what a powerful thing that we did was talk about knowing the roles that people play in your life.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Knowing specifically what role this person plays. And when you know what role a person plays in your life, it really allows you to shape those expectations.
Yeah, it does. It does, because if you have someone that you consider your top friend or whatever, an executive or anything, you know what they're supposed to bring. You understand their title, their description for your life. And once you do that, then you say, okay, that's them. This is the executive. He or she will lead us in this manner. However, I'm the associate, so at this level to do this. Even with friendships, everything that you do has a role. You have your role players, you have your star players, you have your people that do cleanup, you have your MVPs. Like, that makes up a team. And in a team of life, you need those friends that fit those roles that make you better. Because one thing I used to watch growing up before I went to school was Captain Planet. And for Captain Planet to come together and save the world, or what have you, each person had to bring their powers together. So with your powers combined, I'm Captain Planet. And so that's where it went. So you had to mix the minerals of life to make Captain Planet. Mm-hmm. So I want my friends to make the minerals that make them make me.
Yeah, that's
and then
awesome.
It's vice versa with all of the people that's involved in my life, from parents, peers, whomever. So
that brings us to our action item for the week, which is knowing what roles people play in your life by actively defining them.
Yeah, you definitely.
So asking the question this week, I want you to actually ask the question of your tribe. What role do you play in my life? What role do I play in your life? And giving them space to answer, and actively being ready to answer the question for them as well. Knowing what role you play in their lives and knowing what role they play in your lives. This exercise has given me so much clarity with my tribe, with my core 5, knowing what they see in me, knowing what they expect of me is just as important of letting them know what I see in them and what I expect from them.
No, I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do as a friend and as a group. So if you have your tribe and you're able to do this, it's no different than taking that performance evaluation we allow employees to do to us.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it is. And if you're in this position and I put you in a position to win every time or make that basket or what have you, this is what I expect. Now, if you don't see yourself that way, it allows, let's say you didn't see me that way, and it allows me to say, okay, I didn't know that, so let me step up in this regard. I thought it was this. But it opens a great dialogue, and that basically help build your friendship even better.
Yes, it does, because
you
it
know
gives
where they at.
And it gives you a benchmark.
Exactly.
It gives you something to weigh them by, because in our relationships, as they change and our relationships evolve, the roles that people will play in your life will change and grow with you. For example, one of my dear friends, Lisa, when I met her in college, we knew each other. We were associated with each other. But over time, as we both moved to Houston after going out and getting our graduate degrees and planting roots here, we got very close. And now Lisa is like in my 5, or as I would say, my 5 that I would take to the mountain with me. She's the one of the people who I would call to pray with. So as you evolve, the people in your life will evolve with you.
Exactly.
The roles that they play will evolve with you.
Exactly.
So this exercise also gives you a point of clarity and evaluation, as you said, to evaluate how we've grown together.
Exactly. And
so periodically writing this question is important.
Yeah, it's a feel-good moment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is a feel-good moment for everyone. So I think that's awesome. I think that's an awesome thing to do.
Speaking of feel good, let's talk about our good news story for the week.
All right. Our good news story for the week actually comes from Denver, Colorado. It's something fascinating that I saw what the city of Denver did with their homeless population. So they reached out to their homeless population and they actually provided them day labor jobs, 3 or 4 hours at a time, and they say, okay, we'll pay you $12.50 an hour. Just go out here, spread mulch at the parks, clean up the sidewalks, etc. Just regular city jobs. And what happened? These people performed so well, they ended up evolving and saying, okay, we're going to move this from just 1 day, we're going to make it 2 days. Then they expanded it to make it a 5-day-a-week thing. So
that's
now
amazing.
They're employed. And so that brought me to a point and made me think about this. Sometimes you ride down the street, you see people that ask for change. We can reach in our pocket and give them $1 or what have you, but sometimes they need change. And what the city of Denver just did was more than just a monetary piece of change, because by them providing an opportunity, these people took it head on, because that's all people need in life, just a chance and just change. Like when President Obama ran, he said, change you can believe in. What Denver did provided really a change that people can believe in.
I really like that.
I think that's an awesome thing. And I hope and I pray other cities follow that, because that's something amazing.
As opposed to giving them pocket change, you gave them a change to shape their lives with. That is amazing.
Exactly.
I absolutely love that.
Exactly.
Great story. That was indeed some good news. Thank you guys for joining us this week. Thank you for tuning into The Lifted Lifestyle. Make sure you're following us on all social media channels at The Lifted Lifestyle on Facebook, at The Lifted Lifestyle on Instagram, and at Love The Lifted on Twitter. You can also follow me on all social media channels at Tasha Spoon. I am Latasha Weatherspoon, the Chief Empowerment Officer of The Lifted Lifestyle. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you, and we'll see you next week. You can find me as well on Twitter at Chazz Bailey, but stop at The Lifted Lifestyle first. I'll still be there too.
Oh, and check out our website too. theliftedlifestyle.com has some amazing updates. You can find all of our products, all of our services, and all things Lifted Lifestyle at our website, which is theliftedlifestyle.com.
So please check that out, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Good night.
Good night.